I'm here. So, hello all. Welcome to the Out of the Box Developer. We are starting our session today. If you are watching us, tell us here on the chat your name and from where you are watching us. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about continuing the deep dive ChatGPT series that we started since last session and try to understand how we can actually add to make our model remember things and create new applications that can actually interact with our models and keep the conversation going. So to help us on this task, on this discussion today, I will start calling our guests. So I will start calling here Money. Hey Money, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you, Hugo? How's it going?
Fine, thanks. Good to have you here. Well, I will keep calling everyone since we have many persons here today. But good to have you here again, Mani.
Thank you.
Hey, Pedro, how are you?
Hello, Hugo. Hello, Manny. Nice to be here.
Yeah, nice to have you here too. Hey, Danilo, good to have you here too.
Oh, hey everyone, how are you doing? Thanks for the invite. Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, and I will keep calling here. Hey, Chila, how are you?
Hello everyone. Hey Hugo, I am fine, and you? Thanks for having me here
I'm fine,
tonight.
thanks. Yeah, and I hope to have great discussions here with Douglas. Hey, Douglas.
Hey, y'all. It's good to be back again.
Yes. So today I think most of the stage will be up on you, right, Douglas? You bring some great examples here to share with the audience. But do you want to uh, speak something before getting started? Or what do you want just to jumpstart with your
Oh,
presentation?
I didn't catch that was me. I was just like, the whole thing is basically today. If you remember last week, we talked about using LangChain as a way to talk to OpenAI, and that the library called LangChain it's kind of a framework actually. It's an abstraction layer above excuse me, large language models and pretty much there's connectors to almost all of them that you need. I'm actually using LangChain right now with Llama 2 and Code Llama, which will be the subject of yet another one because I'm actually running those models live or running those models locally on my MacBook. So I've got a lot of observations I made over last week while playing around with that. But today we're going to continue talking about OpenAI and using LangChain to make it easier for us to give our conversations with ChatGPT a conversational memory. So that's the actual topic is we're looking at conversational memory, and then we're going to kind of delve off a little bit into this concept of maybe vector databases and embeddings and whatnot to make it even better, to make the conversational memory even tighter. So yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, really cool. And if you that is watching us have any questions and or any challenge regarding to the LangChain and any other ChatGPT related things, yeah, we are here to help you guys get started with these amazing tools. So please feel free here to ask questions while Douglas is presenting his example. I want to say quick hello here too. I see Edson Lima. Hello, Edson Lima. Hello, Max. Hello, Andres. So you're all welcome here. Before I let you, Douglas, start about the presentation, I just have an important change for the next sessions. Let me see if it works correctly. Uh, yeah, this one. Yeah, on the next session, we're gonna start our new time. So it will be starting 1 hour earlier than our usual time. So it will be 6 p.m. on Brazil time. and 10 p.m. On British time, or 9 p.m. GMT. So since we have a lot of places, people watching from a lot of places, those are some reference time zones for you to keep connecting with us. Yeah, saying that, and saying that, I want to bring space for Douglas, and if any of you guys want to comment anything before Douglas starting here. No, can just go ahead. Go, Douglas. So the stage is yours. I will let you alone with the view here.
Okay, okay. So let me go find my let me go find uh, my share button here. Where is that? There we go. I'll share a screen. Let me know how this looks to y'all. I hope that I have improved since the last time that we have run. It should be. How's the font? Do I need to increase it at all?
Maybe by 1 point, if that's okay. I mean, it is legible, but yeah, that looks much better. Yeah. Did you
Okay.
did you just do a control plus, or did it change your
I hit
font level?
control. I hit command. Well, command plus, but yeah,
Command plus, yeah.
basically control plus. I hit control plus.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I think this is quite legible because the screen does take up some space with images and videos.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, we could even I could even remove the tabs and all of that stuff if we needed to, if we needed to go down that path. But okay, so again, I'm not going to go over a review too much, although just depending on how the conversation goes, we this may go really fast or it may go, we may hit our hour. Let's see what happens. But today, like I said, I've got a couple of examples. The first one that I wanted to talk about was using a uh, buffer. Conversational buffer memory is the actual class that we're going to use out of LangChain. Now, the interesting thing is, before we go too far into that, I just want to kind of show the kind of depth that they go to as far as the memory is concerned. So let me bring over real quick the documentation page. That may have been too much of. There we go. We could take a look here. If you go to the documentation, you could see that they have a whole section of it dedicated to memory, right? And chat messages. We can the different types of memory that it has, and what we're looking at specifically, and the reason why I brought you here is that I want you to see that there's a richness in the options. I'm keeping the options to a minimum so that we have a chance to really talk about them, and it really wasn't like let's show every example that we've got. But today what we're going to talk about is the concept of this conversation buffer, which is going to be as you if you attach this to a conversation chain, which we'll get into, then every time you do predict, it adds it to the history, and every time you send in a new request, it's going to actually send all of history with it along, right? Let's go take a look at this, and I'll show you maybe some of the caveats, some of the gotchas in using something like this. I'm sure y'all are thinking right now, a hint would be, the context window is a big deal when you're talking to a large language model. And so if you send too much along, then you'll blow past the limit of the window, and you'll have problems. So let's talk a little bit about this initial conversation buffer memory. All right, so to get started, let's be sure first of all that I have nothing running, and I'm just going to go ahead and load our stuff like we did last time. This will look pretty close to the file that we used last time, where I'm loading in the .env, and I'm going to pull in a model. So for everything, I'm going to use the ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo June 13th model. And then from there, let's just kind of go down and take a look at this example. And I'm going to talk through it, and then I'm going to execute it. So first, what we're going to do is, and let me say this. This is just an example of how the memory works. I'm not attaching it to anything. We're not going to get complicated. I'm just going to show you that we can load stuff into it and pull stuff out of it. All right. So with that being said, first we're going to new up a conversation buffer memory object. And then I'm going to put a bunch of stuff in the context, right? This is simulating a conversation that may have occurred between me and the AI. It didn't, because you can see all the output is just three dots. Like I'm just, really nothing there coming back. But I'm pre-filling the context with some information that I may have added. The stuff that it would say in response if I actually sent these in to OpenAI is be like, oh, gee golly, that's great. So we don't really need to do that. It doesn't really know how to respond to that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And when I run it, what's going to happen is we'll see that when we print out the history, we will get a whole conversation, basically human, human, AI, and it'll go through the whole thing. What is this, 7 points that I've added into the system is returned, right? So now we've created a memory. It's a context that we have created, and let's keep going. Okay, but any questions? Any thoughts on this buffer? Because it probably looks like a list to y'all at this point.
Actually, this is very interesting, Douglas. I wanted to
Yeah.
ask something previously to getting to here. If you go scroll up a bit,
Yeah.
where you mentioned the model name, and actually it's a fully defined model name, which is the version and like the sub version numbers as well, right? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
using GPT 3.5 Turbo 0613 is the build probably. Are there various types of models that is compatible to what you're doing here that can be used, or are we tied to using GPT 3.5 Turbo 0613?
No,
Where is that coming from?
you could use GPT-4 in here. But the
Hmm.
interesting thing is, do you see any reference to OpenAI right now other than just a model defined?
No,
Like, no,
that's not there.
yeah,
That's
we've
because
not
is it
made
the
any
lang
reference.
chain? Is the
This is
lang chain taking care
LangChain.
of it? Yeah.
Yeah. So the cool thing is I could use this buffer memory with Llama 2.
All right, I see.
All
So
the different
lang chain is taking care of the abstraction.
Yep.
But there
Absolutely.
might be a point where beyond which you cannot use, you might have to use another model, or you have to change your implementation. Is that true, or how does that work?
Anytime that you anytime you change your model, there's a chance that your prompts are no longer valid anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the one thing I've noticed, and this would be really evident if I was doing a compare and contrast with my Llama 2 work, was that I to get the thing to work that I got that I demoed last time with the creating the date objects, uh, it it was really a lot of work to get it to work with Llama 2. Like to get to do the prompt engineering to get it right, because Llama 2 does not come out of and even Code Llama does not come out of the box with function calling. So without
Right.
function calling, you cannot guarantee. You have to write your prompt right so it knows to always respond with JSON no matter what. Right. And I actually figured that out. So that was kind of fun. I figured out how to do that with Llama 2. But we're not talking about Llama 2. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, to answer your question, anything you stick in there can be used, but it gets. I'll show you the inflection point where the code
Yeah,
changes.
yeah, that's an interesting one as well, because these are all disparate entities, groups working on these models, right? And
Yeah.
LangChain has to keep up with all of that, with the different versions of the model. So you cannot stick in GPT-2 or whatever the lower version of 3.5 are and expect the rest of the code to work, right? You'll come to a point where you have to use a minimum model version.
So one thing that I want you to take a look at. Um, Again, I think let's do this. Nope, don't do that. There. Okay. One thing that I want you to look at, I went to this integrations tab at the top of their documentation, and this is where you can look at everything that they'll integrate with. So, like LLMs, these are LLMs that they have provided components to do integration.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing.
So Yeah, it's really cool. This is the one that I used for doing Llama 2 work,
Uh-huh.
and I mean it's too big of a list. I don't want to muddy the waters too much, but if you'll look at it, even down to chat models, document loaders. We'll talk about that. Embedding
Wow.
models. We can talk. We're going to actually talk, maybe touch a little bit on embedding models. Vector stores. We're going to touch on vector stores a little bit. Retrievers. They have all of these integrations, and it comes with with LangChain out of the box. You get all these. That's why I really call it a framework for doing large language model AI type work. It's just this one stop shop. It comes with full batteries included. Do everything you need. I mean, you can even see up here they know how to talk to AWS, Google, Microsoft, directly to OpenAI. It's all there. It's all there. So that
That's
should
really good. That makes our job easier, as developers.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah. Quickly, I've shared here on the chat. First link it was to point into the OpenAI available models. That is one of the GPT 3.5 Turbo and the other family. And then I sent here the what Douglas just shared in his on his screen of the LangChain integrations that is working already working on LangChain. So that's really interesting one. So yeah, we have a world of models that many people is working, right? We haven't even mentioned it here yet. The Hugging Faces. I don't know if people had contact with that, but I also
yeah,
have lots of other models. So if you are curious into what models are available, there's lots of them.
I mean, LangChain may be a good place to start to look at like what the available models are. If you really wanted
Yeah,
to like get the book of models to try to see what would be interesting to use for what, it might be a good place to to jump in there and look around some. So absolutely.
cool.
Okay, so we've gotten through and we filled our conversation buffer. We even looked at what it looks like when we use it directly. We stuck some stuff in there. We loaded. We basically then got it to print everything out in the memory. But what good does that do us, right? Let's kind of go a little further down and take a look. So now, again, I'm going to import a conversation chain, and now and only now am I going through and saying, give me the chat open AI model, because I'm going to create an instance of the LLM using that chat open AI, but it could have been any of the other integrations. And of course, I'm specifying that I want my temperature to be 0 because I want the results to be somewhat reproducible. And again, making reference to that model name that I had above, which is the literal GPT-3.5, right? Then, then again, what I'm doing is creating a conversation chain. That's what we imported here. And the conversation chain is really neat because, well, that's the whole idea of LangChain, is to be able to chain things together. And so they're taking in all the different building blocks. This is a generic chain, right? We're taking in the LLM. We're taking in a reference to the memory that it's supposed to use, and I'm just setting the verbosity to true so that we can actually see what it's doing under the cover somewhat. And with doing that, I think that what I want it to do would start off with doing something like that. So when we run this, what's going to happen is it's going to send off a request to OpenAI using my OpenAI API key. Remember that's sitting in the that's sitting over here in your .env, right? Don't ever put that in your file itself, right? I bet Manny just jumped for a second when he said I'm when I jumped over to that, like, no, don't do
No,
that. But
I
no,
was actually going to ask you, can you show me your OpenAI key to see if you are
absolutely
falling
not.
for the social engineering question?
Although
I did that the last time, it didn't work, but I thought I'd try it again.
one little secret about using OpenAI's API is that they let you set a max spend. So I've got mine set pretty low. I mean, if I
Yeah.
ever hit that, it means I just sat and pummeled the OpenAI API every day for hours upon hours on end. And if that, or I got hacked. So
Yeah.
someone got my key. So I
Which
set this
also means you
limit.
can share your key with the rest of us, right? So, I mean, after
That
this call,
no,
we're
it,
happy
it
to.
means
I'm
it
happy to
means
get a copy
that
of your key.
I would never do that. I would never do that on purpose. But if I accidentally had, then you can also invalidate your keys too. Okay, so with all that, I mean, it really kind of all this stuff just kind of like comes together. One thing is that if you're ever curious about what's going on underneath the covers, the thing that I would say you should do, the code is very approachable from LangChain. And if you're in VS Code, if you control or command click, you can just jump right in and take a look at what they're doing. What is this conversation chain? What are they doing here? And they'll even, sometimes you'll see in the document, the doc strings, you'll get some good examples, and they'll even tell you some things that you might need to know if you actually jump into the code. Don't be scared of LangChain's code base. It's actually, because of the way that they did it with all these classes and everything, it's really approachable. The live debugging is also your friend, I would say, because I had to troubleshoot some things, like things weren't working the way I expected, and so I just went and looked at the code and did some debugging into LangChain and figured it out. And that's one reason why working on this in open source is, with open source products, is so great, because we can just jump in there and look at everything. We can see the code and step the code. All right, enough of me talking about that, though. I'm pretty sure everyone wants to see the example run. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll hit the run button. And if we come down here, we will see that it has a template, a default template that it uses inside of LangChain that says something like, this is the following is a friendly conversation between a human and AI. The AI is talkative, and you probably don't need me to read all of that. But if I come over here and scroll over, you'll see that there's quite a bit of engineering in that prompt, right? They're saying, if the AI doesn't know the answer to a question, it truthfully says it does not know, right? Don't hallucinate is what that's trying to do. But now we'll see that we didn't really just chat with the AI all that time. Now this is kind of funny that it came down here. This is where sometimes when you set the temperature to 0, it doesn't always work in a reproducible way, because there's a lot in here. It just didn't connect it all up. Let's try running one more time and see if it gets anything. All right. Wrong question. I shouldn't have left that one in there. Tell me everything. Tell me everything you know. Okay. It'll be that day. Let's try again. Wow. Okay. Something has turned on its ear, because this worked earlier.
Is that the temperature that's forcing it to be very precise?
Let me see.
If you increase the temperature, would it become more creative?
Where is the temperature? That's the
It's
whole
set
point of
in the
doing.
when you set the constructor, it's set you set it there, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, right here. Let's try something. Let's try something a little bit different. So, yeah, let's try changing the temperature. Also, I think I'm going to blow the memory away too. Again, that's why I did this, right? We can also reset the memory, so it gets rid of that stuff in there, and then we can also go in here and say, um, maybe this is the wrong way of phrasing it. What is my favorite food? And if it goes through and looks at the conversation, your favorite food is sushi,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Tell me, let's see, everything you know about me. Then if I do that, we'll get this nice little, uh, there we go.
Wow.
And see, this time it actually picked out. You are
Yeah.
Douglas, a software engineer living in Memphis, Tennessee. You are married to Emily and have 3 kids. Your favorite food is sushi. And although you're not a sports fan, you have watched basketball and football on special occasions.
That's impressive. Although there is a small flaw here, right? I mean, you just change the person from me, or from me to Douglas, which is from
Yeah.
the first person to the third person, and it didn't know.
It couldn't take that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's interesting when we see that. This is the whole point of playing around with this stuff. I've had a lot of fun, just like what happens if I do this? What if I flip this lever? What if I do this? And it's going to get even more interesting when we get to the next example, right? So
Actually, I think, and maybe that'll extend the time of this presentation. I think the reason it might be doing that is because all the embeddings that it may be remembering are in the form of I am
right,
and first person. Whereas
right.
if you had changed the answers to saying, my name is Douglas, and then you say Douglas's favorite food is, then the embeddings would be in the third person, and then maybe you wouldn't be able to ask in the first person.
Another thing that we could do here is kind of interesting. So instead of saying human, right? This is how configurable things are. I think that I can change um, the what is it? I don't want to change the input key. I think I do. There's a way to actually say, because okay, notice how it says down here, human, hi, human, my name is Douglas, human, right? It says all of that. But if I were to put Douglas in front of all of these, it would suddenly tag everything with me, right? It would know that if every one of these began with my name, it would know that that's me. So there is a way. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think it is actually in this class somewhere in the
Is it the
control
human prefix field you're looking for?
prefix.
Human underscore prefix.
Yeah, there we go. What
But
if we
that,
said,
that's only the prefix identifier, right? Okay, yes.
look
Yeah,
at what that does?
yes. Yeah.
Now, I may have broken something because it's actually probably expecting it to be human, but let's try to run this.
I think it should be fine. It's just a labeling it's using instead of the word human. It says Douglas.
But then you need to change about the question. Do you change it to me? Now you need to change again to Douglas.
Tell me everything you know about.
No,
See,
I think
that's
it
a
should be
fault too,
fine.
right?
I think it should be fine. This it may not
Yeah.
see. Yeah, you'll have to still keep it as me, because that is in the answers and not in the human prefix.
But I think I broke it with the human prefix because now it doesn't have anything anymore. It doesn't know that this is the other half of it. It says that it's a talkative conversation between a human and an AI, not a Douglas and an AI. So I think that it actually is
Ah,
losing the point of reference here. So I do need to change this. So let me go back here and we'll just blow the memory away again. Now it's back to human. But this is what's so cool about LangChain, right? I mean, we could just go in there and tweak stuff, and I can go through the debugger and look at things and see what it's really doing under the covers. Let's see. Tell me everything you know about me, and then it runs. And again, well, we broke it. How about that? How about that? Because I don't think I did anything other than let's do this. Restart. I'm just going to erase everything that it ever knew and bring it back. There we go. And then we'll try it one more time. What I really want to do, though, is see, we're sitting at 30 minutes past the hour. I kind of want to show the next part of the demo. Now um, uh, we saw that this did actually work. That's what's really confusing. Like we did see it put the whole description out there about me in there. Let me try running it again. It's but the one thing I want you to notice is check this out. So every time we put something new in there, it's recording it automatically. So if this were a loop, like if you were sitting in a loop in your program, it would put everything in there until you blew out of the buffer. I mean, not the buffer, the context window. Like if you surpass the 4096 tokens, it would then just start erroring out because you're just filling it in and filling it in. The good news is, and I'm not going to actually do a full demo around this. If you go look at that documentation I sent, they do have a token buffer memory that you tell it how many tokens it's allowed to store, and it will only store those tokens. That many tokens worth of conversational memory in there. But I think it's very indiscriminate. It doesn't really actually make sure that the stuff in there is what you really need. So let's actually talk about that, right? Let's talk about that.
So where are we
Uh,
actually at with this? Have we broken the implementation, and now it's not able to answer?
Try this one. We have broken it, but it did know that my favorite food is sushi.
Then why is it not able to tell everything about you?
I know, right? That's the confusing part. Is why can't it do this now? Tell me everything you know about me. Yeah, it's maybe I have activated some kind of directive, some kind of safety measure in it
Hmm.
inadvertently.
yeah, yeah. It,
Something
it, it looks like
or
a
they're catching
role
it.
saying no. That the kind of rules that ChatGPT can you cannot talk about people and some kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's totally bonked right now. Let me
So I think you may not want to use the word everything. You may want to
okay,
say, tell anything you want to know, anything you know about me. Tell whatever you know about me.
tell whatever you know about me.
Yeah. That way, it can discriminate information between what it can tell. Hopefully, it can.
Yeah,
All right.
it's locked down. Like it did work. Like we had it. This is the thing, right? If we ask it for something specific, so let's try that. Try that. Still want to keep track of time, but what is my favorite food and where
Favorite.
am
Yeah.
I from? Let's put an and in there, right? And see if it can do that. Your favorite food is
Ah.
sushi and you're from Memphis, Tennessee. So it can get that, right? It's
Yeah.
getting the
Yeah.
specific
So I
when
think it wants you to ask it specific questions and within the scope of what you've fed it, not.
my personal details that you have. That doesn't even make sense, but let's just see. Yeah, it's we have
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
gotten it
I
accurate.
think it must be detecting that you're trying to jailbreak it and give it. It may have more information about you now somehow. What if there has been some sort of a background linking going on whilst you were doing this? I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
speculating. Okay,
yeah.
maybe we should progress to the next step if
Let's
this is not working.
because I think that this is also a really cool thing, like we just showed here. That it can your favorite food is sushi, and you're from
Yeah.
Memphis, Tennessee. It may not be able to give you every detail in one statement, but it's going to it does work. It can pull some of the details out of here. Let's do this. One more piece of information in here. What is my favorite food? What do I do for a living, and where am I from? By the way, that's not even a correct sentence. Yeah, there you go. So if I ask for specific details, it will give it to me. Right now, it's not handling tell me everything. It did
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah, yeah. So it's be able to form simple, compound, and complex sentences, right? And give put
Yeah,
together the answers and give you the response.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Now, let's talk about something a little bit more interesting, right? Again, like I said, this is going to blow up the context window eventually. If we keep throwing all these in, it's just going to eventually, not work anymore. And also, garbage may get in here too. Stuff that may be confusing it could get in here. But let's see if we can find a way around that. And the one way that I found to get around that is to actually use something called embeddings. Now, embeddings are interesting, and I don't know if I've touched on this yet or not, but um, embeddings are basically just a huge you take a statement, some statement of information, right? Like about Douglas, and you give it to an embeddings model, and it will generate this huge list of numbers that has meaning to it, right? It's the semantic meaning based on those that huge list of numbers. And it's a multi-dimensional it's actually a multi-dimensional vector at that point. And the cool thing is as you keep giving it more and more information, it will put all of those pieces of information together, because those vectors will be similar if they have similar semantic meaning, or they won't be similar at all. I wish I had a better visual display for visualization on this, but it's extremely interesting how that works. So then, when you get all of these embeddings, right? Let's just say you have a ton of these embeddings, you can use a vector store, a vector database, and put those in a vector database. Now, what's different than the usual way that we store like rows of data in a database is that we're storing these embeddings in multi-dimensional space, right? They're not being stored one row after another. The spreadsheet metaphor is bent on its head. It's more like a universe at this point. And it's really crazy because the OpenAI embedding model has I think it's 1,536 dimensions. That's just
Wow.
mind-boggling, right? Yeah, I mean, it's so you think about that, and as you type things in, the semantic meaning gets added to what you're saying, and it then gets put into space. That piece of information gets put into the universe where it fits, and the things that are similar get put together.
So I have a nice link on embeddings that'll do justice to what you just explained.
Yeah,
I'm going to share that here. Hopefully, this is visible and accessible to our viewers. Um, Copy image address. Yep, maybe. So that
this
kind of
one,
gives you an idea of. Yeah, okay, cool. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you were just saying. And this is only three-dimensional space. The 100 and what was it, 1300
1,536.
yeah,
It's
that is
it's
not going to
massive.
be that we are not going to be able to visualize, but this is embeddings brought down to three-dimensional space.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I can zoom in on this and we can take a look here. So you can see that things that are similar will be put together. Now these are locations. So I guess that if you have like in Japan, Tokyo, Japan is close to Hiroshima, so you've got all of that together. Yeah. Yeah. So, this one's actually showing the concept, right? And this is what a vector database would do is when you insert data into the database, it will put things together in multidimensional space. All right. I'll get
I
rid of
shared
that.
I shared I shared a similar one, a simpler one where you can see how gender is associated in embeddings. I think if you open up the second link, if that's openable, uh,
Let's see. I
copy.
think that it Yeah, I think that it I don't have that one.
Yeah, okay. I think I have repasted it. The second one should work. So you
Okay.
can see there's only a couple of embeddings in the screen, but that kind of shows like an understanding of the different words, how they're
Yeah, yeah.
associated,
And how
and
and
how
how
in the space, yeah, in the three-dimensional space, they are placed.
yeah. Yeah. And I can visualize this in my head and it's amazing. I don't know if I can visualize 1536 dimensions, but the gist of this I can get in my head, and it's really really cool. So, how can we use this to our advantage with LangChain, right? How do we use this to help narrow down what we're going to use? And LangChain again has embeddings built into it. So there's they actually have a full documentation on their embeddings. We're going to use memory again, except this time the memory is going to come from it's going to be a vector store retriever memory instead of the conversation buffer. And by the way, if you're into like Java or you're into object oriented design, all of these inherit from the same base. Like when you talk about memory, they're all of the same abstract class. So that's like I said, it's really cool to go look through their code, because not only does it do a lot of cool things, but from an object oriented analysis and design perspective, it's actually a really well put together library framework. Okay, so if we keep looking at the dependencies here, by the way, I just put this here as a note because these were things I had to install, but I've kept track of everything that I installed
Cool.
in my
In
requirements.
the requirements, yeah.
Yeah. So it's all there. But this was everything else didn't require these. But as soon as I tried to start working with the vector store, I needed the FAISS. I think do they say face? Like is that how could you
Yeah,
just
I think you can pronounce as face.
face? Yeah.
Yes.
And this tick token library, which is a tokenizer. So you know it's a local tokenizer. Like it'll get you like the number of tokens and stuff like that. It was a requirement to get this to run. So this is the thing that allows, I believe, for the searching to occur. Like if we really look at, it's a similarity search, piece of it. Let's keep going down and take a look at the code though, because I think this is where it gets really cool. So again, we're going to bring in OpenAI. This is the only mention. I think we've only mentioned OpenAI twice in the whole thing, only 2 times. But it's really powerful because we could plug something else in potentially. We got OpenAI embeddings that we're going to use. We're going to use a vector store retriever memory. We're going to use that same conversation chain that we used above. So we're going to plug this in as memory this time instead of the other thing as memory. And then we have this concept of a prompt template, which you actually got to see used, but we didn't use it directly. You saw how they had their own prompt and stuff like that. They use this concept called a prompt template in a lot of places, and they can do it by default because it's part of their ecosystem. Also, we're going to import the Facebook, similarity search library. Then, just to make things fast, we're going to use an in-memory document store. So this could be something else. If you go look at the integrations from the page I sent, you can see all the different places you can integrate with. But right now, I'm going to use the in-memory document store instead of using something like some other database of some sort. And then our vector store is going to be finally the the Facebook Similarity Search Library. Okay.
So basically, this is doing similarity search in the embedding space, right? Unlike
It is.
similarity search we would do using literal text tokens, which is very different from what you're doing with the embedding search, which is a lot more flexible and powerful.
Yes. So there's a lot going on here, right? So we can, just by using the memory directly, do that initial search, right? But then we're going to be able to ask questions of what it found when it did the similarity search. Is the main thing, and we're using OpenAI's query or OpenAI's embedded query or embed query to both embed or to create the vectors for what we're going to embed, in our in-memory store. And then additionally, on top of that, we're going to use it to basically embed our, vectorize our query, right? So whatever we type in that we want to query on is going to use that same one, because you have to, right? You have to use the same algorithm both ways.
One question here, and I don't want to slow you down here, is that when you're saying .embed query, and when you're saying OpenAI embeddings, is this the embeddings that is the whole of the OpenAI database with all
No,
the?
this is not. This is just the query. This is basically just your you basically are getting an embedding back of your statement of your
Okay. Okay.
the thing that
Only what you've done, not the whole of its billions of
they're
parameters,
using all of
billions of
their data,
yeah,
right? They're
data
using all
processes.
of their data to help with the vectorization, right? That's what they're doing, is that they use all of
Okay,
their
so
stuff.
that is influencing your data as well to create the vector space.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah,
Right.
I
Notice
had
here. Yeah.
That was exactly, or not exactly, that was sort of what I was thinking, but I can now understand what it's doing.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess at this point we are, we're creating our index, right? And we're going and asking for the embed query function. And then what's going to happen is that we import it from LangChain, their wrapper around the Facebook similarity search library, and we're going to pass in an embedding function. We're going to pass in an index, and we're going to pass in our in-memory document store, and that's going to give us something that we can start to store information in. Now, I want you to take a look a little further down. This is where it gets a little interesting, where you really can change how this whole thing works quite a bit. We could use a similarity search, a score threshold, and we can set a threshold. What does that mean? Well, when you query a vector database for something, you're going to get back a list of items in order, I guess, a descending order based on how high the score is based on what you entered in. So we can use a similarity threshold to say, don't give me anything under this score,
Mm.
which means don't give me the entire world back,
Yeah.
right? Don't
Cut
give me everything.
Put a cutoff point, and then anything only within that range you should get. So the quality of your results could be more. Yeah, 65 sounds like the good threshold point.
That was from a lot of experimentation, by the way. just just
Well,
trying to do
a little bit higher than 50%, right? In the
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. But the cool thing about that is that it will actually limit the number. But I think that really maybe a better place to start is going to be, let's just take a look at using K, right? Let's take a look at using K first. And what this means is only give me the K nearest one item, the top item. Yeah, that would be like top one when you do a
Mm.
query, a
K near,
SQL
yeah,
query. Yeah,
K nearest neighbor.
yeah, yeah. So if we do that and we look down through here, now let me be sure I do this right. Well, we got to pull in our imports. Done. And then we'll come down here and we'll run this. We'll fill in and we'll say k equals 1, right? And that's going to take it a minute because it's actually going out and doing embeddings, but I think it has finished in 1.9 seconds. That's cool.
Mm.
Okay. So now again, this will look familiar. I'm creating another Chat OpenAI LLM, a model here using the same model that I used before. I was playing around with token size. I don't even think I'm going to get anywhere near that many tokens, so it doesn't really matter. But that's the max tokens for the request and response, I believe. No, request. Yeah, max number of tokens to generate to go out is what that's going to be. Reason why it's not 4,096 is because if you use all your tokens on the request, they will give you nothing back and tell you that you erred. Just so you know. Just so you know. This is just so you know. That's the reason why. But here, we're going to actually create our own little prompt template. So again, it's like the following is a friendly conversation, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I think even here I had to add something, but we'll go over to the right and look at it in a little bit. But we got our history will be inserted into here, and the input will be right here. So the thing that we're sending in right then will go right there. Okay. Then what we'll do is we're going to create another conversation chain. And this time we're going to, the LLM is set, the prompt is set, the memory is going to be set. That is not what I want there. Anyway, did not set a low token size. And so if we were to run this, I didn't uncomment any of these because I wanted to choose which one we went with first instead of just let's do everything at once. Let's ask it for one piece of information, right? Let's ask it for a single piece of information. And I'm going to go ahead and let it run. And if we scroll down, we can see that it pulled out of all of those inputs, it pulled out the piece that said, I am not a sports fan when I said, do I like sports? and it came down and said something pretty intelligent based on the information you provided. Or you mentioned that you are not a sports fan, but on occasion have watched. Yeah, so it even went and did some extra commentary on that. You can put something in that prompt that says, "Do not add any commentary, please." So
Mm.
you could come up here and you could add something in here to say, "Don't add any extra commentary. I'm not interested." Um, I've had to do that sometimes. So we can do a couple of things here, but if we can ask it. Let's see. What if I ask it two pieces of information? Well, tough because k equals 1, right? So it picked which state do I live in came out first because it's the first thing it saw. And it said that, you live in Tennessee, specifically Memphis. And as for your occupation, I don't know. But we can fix that. We can fix that. So if we go back up, and I don't like doing all this scrolling up and down stuff, but I think that this is really a cool way to be able to like just get in there and play with this stuff. Um, if we comment out this retriever, and let's bring in the similarity threshold. So now you see that I'm not saying k equals anything. I'm just get pertinent data, please. Get as much pertinent data as possible. As long as its score is above 0.65, right? So if we run this, now all the embeddings are done, everything's great. Then we can come back down. And I'm going to rerun this one more time. Not that way, that way. And then this time, when I asked for what state do I live in and what do I do for a living, it brought back the two pertinent pieces of information that I put in there out of the 7 or 6 things that I told it about myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
But these two pieces of information was chosen by the embedding stuff, not by the LLM, right?
Right, because this is what the relevant pieces of previous conversation is coming from the embedding search. Now, OpenAI is
Embedding
still
search.
right is still working with us because we're using their embedding API. We're using their embedding API to vectorize the actual statement, like the what state do I live
Okay.
in,
Yeah.
what do I do for a living, but it's extremely cheap. Their embeddings API is like when there's 3 zeros in front of ChatGPT 3.5, there's like 6 zeros in front of the embedding API.
In terms
It's
of
like
cost, you say.
yeah, it's really cheap to do embeddings. Like I said, I would probably have to work forever to try to hit my max spend unless someone just got it and distributed my key across the internet. That would be the only other way I could think that it would go faster. Um, so it's still involved, but it's not actually doing like the Chat GPT discussion until the last moment, till that last
Hmm.
part where it said, the predict part, like when we said predict. So let's see if it can do this one now.
Doris, can I ask a thing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, recently I had an issue with long text and doing searching inside huge text, and this means that I can actually use embedding API to
Yes.
find what is relevant for my question and then make the response with ChatGPT.
So
Yeah,
you
you
go
can.
on
Yeah.
the next episode of Out of the Box Developer. We can talk about
Cool.
computers,
Yeah,
and we
sounds
can
great.
talk about actually being able to use gigabytes of data embedded to be able to pull out the pertinent pieces of information to build your context and actually send it out. Yeah, you can. That's the thing that will that this leads up to. This is a very simplified example, but the way that I got here was that I was looking for a way to be able to search, to be able to actually have like uh, hundreds of megabytes of documents. Like I wanted to know how OpenAI was doing it with their with Code Interpreter. That didn't make sense to me how Code Interpreter was working. And so I started down a path of how do I make Code Interpreter, and then I came into looking at embeddings and started to dig into this. That was what kind of led me down that path, was your same issue. So we'll get a little bit more detailed on this. I think we can. I think we have more episodes. Like, I mean, if that's the
Yeah.
that's the where you want to go down the path to get more in depth, I
Mhm.
think we can go there. But yeah, that's the demo. Let me try one more thing real quick just to see if it can do it. So let's just ask it what's my name, hometown, profession, and favorite food and sport. And if I run this, let's hope it doesn't just. Oh, we must have really aggravated them because all of this stuff worked. Like, this is crazy because it's there, like it's in the context. Everything was pulled into the context, but it has suddenly stopped doing it. So they may have made an update or done something that has made this not work since I actually went and hand tuned all these. One more time. Yeah, it's just yeah, it's um yeah, totally done. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. We've seen the true power of what embeddings can do. The fact that we can get relevant pieces of information into our context, even if we have lots of information, we can get the essence of what we're looking for. Without having to fill the context with every piece of information in there. So I think that's kind of where it gets where we're at right now. So I think that's it from me.
Cool, really cool example, Douglas. I'm really excited now to see the next session, and yeah, in the end, I think many people want to see, oh, how can I search for my whole database and see something interesting inside there, and that's something that enable it, right?
Yeah, and one of the challenges with embeddings though is it has to be semantically correct. Like you need semantically what's the term I'm looking for? Um, it has to have semantic meaning. So you don't just like throw chunks of information in the database. Like, don't just randomly take your table of data and throw it in the database. You've got to at that point start to engineer the data into chunks that can be embedded, that where if someone does search, they'll get the relevant pieces of information. So there's actually probably a job for that. Well, there is. The data engineering is a thing. So starting to learn what the pitfalls of some of this stuff is as I'm going through and doing stuff with it. But um, yeah, it's exciting stuff. I've really enjoyed playing around with it and trying to make it do things and just seeing that I can do this from my computer. When I got Llama 2 running, man, it's like, what? I mean, for the first time ever on this. So I have an M1 Max with 64 gigabytes of RAM in it, and I got the fans to run audibly. And I've never gotten the fans to run audibly, but when you peg the GPU at 100% for about 30 seconds, it starts putting fans on. It's
Wow. Yeah. You need a lot of power.
yeah,
And air
yeah.
conditioner too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and the other thing too is I think I actually overpowered the. I've got a dock that's powering my machine, and I overpowered it. Like it started to use battery, if you can believe
Wow.
that. Yeah, it started. Yeah, I'm gonna have to plug the MagSafe charger into it if I want to do a lot of that kind of stuff because it needs to have the full 140 watts.
Well, maybe we'll need a session about tips to be able to run your local model, because it's not easy, right? It will need some.
Yeah, it's not. I could actually go through the steps of setting it up on a Mac. That would. It's a little bit more. There's some more hoops to jump through to get it to
Mhm.
work. But it actually runs really well, and some of the options that you have with it is pretty cool. Now, y'all, I'm about to have to run, so I'm not going to be rude and just log off. But I'm going to tell you that
Yeah,
we
sure.
need to head over to wrap up.
Yeah, okay. So we had great session here. I really want to say thanks a lot, though. It was great lesson today. I think we could see lots of uh, examples of usage, and yeah, blow my mind actually. So thanks a lot.
More than welcome.
Yeah, of course. I opened here the private GPT code as well. Tried try to understand what you were saying, and there, yeah, we have here like language chain LLMs, vector stores, and all the embedded. It's just using a different classes here, so we can with your explanation here, we can understand now what's happening. Really cool.
And yeah, I want to respect your time, Douglas. We're gonna be wrapping up here, but if you need to go right now, I know that you said earlier that you have hard stop, right?
Yeah, I will. I will head out. We did great. It's 3 minutes after, so
Perfect.
Perfect.
I'm gonna drop off. It's been great, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.
Okay, thanks a lot,
Thank
Douglas.
you.
Yeah, we have a question here actually from Glayton Franco. Everyone here, guys, have ever tried AWS Code Whisperer plugin on IntelliJ? Yeah, I haven't yet. I don't know if
No,
you guys have it yet. Have
no,
before?
I'm using GitHub Copilot.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
I tried the Tab 9, but not the AWS.
Yeah, I'm curious actually to try those Whisper models. It does if it's the same as OpenAI Whisper model, it is to convert audio into text. I really want to see how it works. But yeah, I'm
I
still
don't think
haven't
it
had
is
enough time for that. Yeah.
the code whisper, right? It's like
Yes, exactly, exactly.
it
So
it, it, it should be as far as I know, it's the Copilot from AWS, right? This guy.
I, I'm not sure. I see that there is a model on available on OpenAI model between OpenAI models, and this is one of them. And I wish to try, but I couldn't yet getting my hands on.
No,
Unfortunately.
but yeah, but this case is exactly this. It's a plugin to write code to help them writing code
Oh yeah. Hmm.
for
Cool.
from AWS. Yeah. They have lots of they are available to lots of IDEs. Interesting. We can let's try.
Yeah,
Let's see if it's better than GitHub Copilot.
one interesting thing is that it can be plugged on the AWS Lambda functions, so you can use it on the console. That's
Hmm.
Oh,
interesting.
cool. Interesting.
Oh, I see now. Code Whisperer. Okay. Thanks, Pedro. Now I understand what you said.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I think we have that. That is for today, guys. Actually, if you have anyone here, if you have any question, please place here. And I don't know if you guys have any content that you want to share between before we close the session. As usually we do, traditionally we do. I already shared these Hugging Face models. I will send it again, but I'm really curious how there's a lot of models there. So if you visit this site, you will see a lot of different models that can convert image text to image to text, text to video, and so on. So that's that's crazy, man. we're getting flooded of models. So yeah, I have a lot to try out. I think it's a moment of trying things out and yeah, discover what is useful, what will actually help you solve your problem and or any other problems and grow in this new exciting world. Yeah.
Yeah, I can say that I downloaded here as I said private GPT. GPT code is something it's much similar what Douglas was showing, and it allows us to run the models in our in our computer, right? So you can download the model from Hugging Faces models, and then you can run in your PC. So I tried here. I just the code is almost code complete. So I download the model here. It's called GGML GPT for all, and then I added the design patterns book PDF to the embeddings, and then I asked it a question. Say, oh, I asked her a question. What's the design pattern? And they answered correctly. Design pattern is element or set of elements in object-oriented software development, which provides solutions to common problems. Blah 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 blah. Right? But it took like more than 2 minutes to run in my local machine. But it says took 2 minutes. But for in my point of view, it took much more than five. Running here. I just play. I asked the question and it took like almost more than 3 minutes running. And as Douglas said, it takes lots of power. The event starts to run,
Wow.
and I was here in our session, not now, before our session, right? And then my the how can I say, the streamings start failing. Yeah, I started losing these videos because it was getting all the CPU and all the GPU I have here. Say, oh my god, I can't run that while our session is being executed. So yeah, takes a lot of power.
I see a question here. Can you pose the steps for the design pattern example as a tutorial?
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Yep.
maybe. Why not?
Oh, we'll be waiting for your new post, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, if I let me, okay, so
uh,
I'll create a video about that, right? Yeah,
this
it would be
private
cool.
GPT that you tried is this I Martinez private GPT. Can I
Yeah,
share
this one.
here? Okay, I will share it on the chat. On the chat. So, Danilo, Chila, do you want to share something for the audience today?
Uh, yes, I can share something. It is something. Oh, that's your link. Okay.
Yeah, that's mine.
Like that. Cool. It's loading here. Yeah, you can say. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yes. So this is a tool also to make visualizations, automated visualizations. If you are dealing with so if visualization is just a tool to examine something, like in exploratory data analysis, you just visualize something to check or what whether the data makes sense for you or what questions you can ask. Um, and this tool can help with this automated visualization. And there are, of course, this is a first version. So there are, of course, some weak points in it. So I haven't tried yet, but it looks promising from the ID how you can do this. And this is just a link for you to the first documentation, just to get an idea how it works. Because I
Sounds
always
good.
ask
Yeah.
myself, okay, if I'm making a visualization, then I'm just programming something, and then it's a manual programming work. And with this tool, it's promising that you can do it automatically. But the question is how you can embed several different data sources, how it's working, and questions about performance and accuracy. So this is just something you should try out, and then you will see it.
Great. Yeah, seems amazing here. I'm seeing some pictures, examples.
Yes,
I didn't know there's such kind of tool
Wow.
too.
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
seeing
know
here.
it either.
It's pretty much interesting here.
Yeah,
Make
you
it
could search.
make the life much easier for people who has not
Well, it's no knowledge, and you can
no
ask.
much knowledge
On
Yes,
on
visualizations,
data
yeah.
analysis, right? Yeah.
and you can ask or tell him, okay, I will have an extra series of data, or I would like to have a maximum minimum visualized, and you don't have
Hmm.
to do anything, just using natural language too.
Yeah, I remember that ChatGPT launched a plugin for data visualization as well, right? I
Hmm.
remember that you can just send your CSV and they start showing charts and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name. What's the name? ChatGPT plugin data
I see
visualization.
Money is back. Hey, Money, how are you?
Hey,
Uh,
good, good. Sorry, I had to jump out for a little bit.
no problem. We are on the moment that we are sharing our traditionally sharing
Ah,
our books or any content
right.
that.
Oh,
Go
but I
ahead.
want to
Well,
share a
let
book.
me share. Let me share the link that I wanted to share.
100. Pedro, I think Andres uh, is writing for you. I'm eager to try private GPT to ask questions to my project documents and code. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
is-
I don't know how it works with code. It would be interesting to test,
so
but
if you try it,
the documents,
share
yeah.
with us. Yeah.
So there would be a performance difference when if you do that on your local machine, and your machine needs to be a little bit performant as well to be able to run a model like that. Um I think Douglas has done that, and he might have even shown it to us the last time. But it's always worth experimenting and trying. Don't stop yourself just because other people's experiences have been different. There's a learning process in getting the model to work on your local machine. So that learning process is valuable or
For sure.
invaluable.
Pedro, have you shared anything here or money or oh I get you.
Yeah, I'm just pasting the link. So mine is a clean code book, nothing related to the nice LLM links you guys have been sharing. Um, but it's great to know that you can still refer to a book like this, even though it seems ChatGPT is writing code for you. I'm not very sure the code it writes is clean code,
Yeah.
given that it has probably been trained on code that we don't know who has written with what paradigm and what protocol in mind. So till they have come up with a version of Code Whisper or you name it, any of those code related GPTs that is trained on well designed, clean code, well refactored code with following the all the design patterns and principles, or not all, but as many that are relevant. I don't think the code that it generates. I have seen it generate a lot of code that doesn't work or makes mistakes, or it just assumes that's what you want and it gives it to you. But that
Cool.
shouldn't be far away for us actually, for us to reach that goal.
Yes, because we still write a lot of code too. So yeah, that's amazing. Tips for all. And we have also Pedro's book here. You want to talk a bit, Pedro?
Yeah, I'm sure I can share my free ebook. So if you wanna download it, I always talk about international career. So this is a small ebook to tips. with tips to start international career here. So when we talk about international career, we are talk about working to from your place to another country or to like US and Canada and Europe. And this is something that can change your life. So I think you should think of it if you wanna grow in your career or if you wanna change your life being a developer.
Cool, cool,
I
really
should have
cool,
read.
man.
I should have had this book. I should have had your book 20 plus years ago, Pedro, for
20 plus years
international
ago, it
career.
was a different. Yeah, it was different at the time.
25 plus years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I could say the same. Oh, if I had a book like that 20 years ago, but 20 years ago it was not the same.
Yeah, he couldn't have written a book like that because not many of us had international careers 20, 25 years ago, isn't it?
No, it when you think about that time, you think that say okay, but at that time the only way I think it would be like changing to relocate to another country and all this stuff that comes with it. So yeah, at that time it was the only way. But now, no, now we can work from everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And yeah, so Danilo, do you want to share something?
Oh, I wanted to share one project actually, the Gutenberg project. It's a project that it created a lot of audiobooks by a generative AI. So it's interesting
Mm,
that to see how what's the power of generative AI that is creating a lot of audiobooks and not just that, but a lot of content that can take some advantage from it. And it's interesting that it's an open source project, so you can take a look on the codes and try to do something by yourself. So this is one project that I wanted to share.
great. And put here on the screen. Yeah, great. Thanks a lot, Danilo. So I think we have reached out at the end of our session. So once again, thanks a lot, everyone. Oh, I have some alarm here. And yeah, once again, I just want to remember everyone that we'll be on a new time for the next session. So don't forget, it will be 1 hour earlier than the current time, 6 p.m. Brazil time, 10 p.m. British time, and 9 p.m. GMT. So I hope to see you guys next week, and not next week, but the next session. And yeah, if you're enjoying this deep dive sessions, as I am, yeah, keep in touch here and follow us. See you, everyone. Bye bye.
See you.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye. See ya.